Well, welcome to what has turned out to be a pivotal game number 3 between zelgadissan and jmeasher. Hi, everybody. I'm Adirondack Rick, being joined by Will WC for what should be a real fun game 3 between these two. Because Will WC, I think you can see it right there at the top of the screen. What do we got for game 3?
Well, Rick, that looks to be, if I'm reading this correctly, the words boss Randomizer up at the top. So we are going to have maps and compasses shuffled today. We're not going to know our dungeon prizes either until we find that map or until we beat a boss. And when we have to go fight those bosses, we may not know who's there. We can use the compass to check when we go in, but it could be all of the bosses will be shuffled to at least one spot in the game, and 3 of the bosses will be duplicated. So we're going to see some quick thinking from our runners today, and probably some weird situations in some of those boss fights.
We creatively call it McBoss, and we've been loving it all throughout this entire tournament. Sorry, McDonald's, we do not owe you royalties for this one.
But if you want to sponsor us...
Just saying. Oh, nice. And what a great synchronized start we have here. We're underway. 300 rupees in the back of, or the sanctuary, and a piece of heart over at Link's house. 2 different routes to begin this thing. I don't know which one you'd like better, Will WC.
I honestly, I know the benefits of both, and I have, in this tournament, done both of these routes at various points. I think it kind of just comes down to... that'll be a nice 10 bombs there for jmeasher there from the tier 1 tree pull. We'll see Zelga get those as well and be fully stocked for Kakariko. I think both routes have their merits, and when you get bombs like this, you kind of feel obligated to go ahead and go into escape here if you're in jmeasher's shoes.
Although that hookshot's a pretty solid find right there from the uncle, so I know some people like to talk about those dirty uncle routers, and jmeasher, given the fact that he got those 10 bombs, is going to be making a plane to escape.
Yep, so he'll be heading that way. That hookshot will help. One thing that I did want to point out there, though, when we saw zelgadissan at the mushroom spot, he saw a compass there and immediately started walking away. And then he went back, because compasses do have that useful information. So now, with that compass, we will be able to check the boss of Ice Palace when we go inside of it, and find out who is waiting for us down in the basement there, before we have to go all the way through the dungeon.
Alright, so as we make our way through this, and of course having the bombs is going to make... Oh!
That is a nice find there.
Dirty Uncle Routers are getting big-time plays here thanks to that glove and hookshot.
Yep, so we got a glove there in the map chest. So far, just a Desert Palace compass and a heart container and 20 rupees there out of 4 chests of Blind's Hut. And in the back, we've got a map to Turtle Rock.
Yes, as we mentioned about the McBoss expect, we do not know what is going to be. Our pendants and crystals, all part of the fun, if you will, of this mode.
It does, it is, and it also kind of changes the calculus a little bit for these runners, because those maps and compasses being shuffled mean that there are 2 extra items in each dungeon. So another compass there, this one to Turtle Rock, and we'll see if the runners choose to kind of route any differently between overworld and dungeon dips as a result of those changes in the item pool.
Alright, I'm getting a little worried here, Will WC.
We're not, we've got a hookshot, we got a glove, we got flippers.
Well, yeah, but all we need is a lamp of 2 swords, and that immediately becomes the recipe for an Agaseed.
It sure does. That's kind of what I was thinking there. Anytime you see that Sphere 1 hookshot, it's going to be on your mind there until you get the rest of your Dark World access, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously we don't want it to be an Agaseed, but we're just saying, usually when I see hookshot flippers, it kind of makes me think about that.
Yeah. So we're going to see jmeasher try to make his way here in the dark to Dark Cross. He does have the hook shot, which will make both getting past some of the snakes there and getting hooked onto the chest in Dark Cross a lot easier.
Well, you say that, but it still can get a little challenging if you lose control of the room with 3 hearts.
That is very true. And we did have a question from Chad of how does a hook shot indicate an Aga seed? It doesn't by itself indicate it, but it is often a recipe for getting access over to Thieves Town, to Skull Woods, to all of the village outcast checks via an Aga play. So
yeah,
that is a reason just kind of for suspicion there.
Oh, that's quite a find at Dark Cross.
That is our Ice Rod. Ice Rod often I found seems to show up earlier in this mode, and I think in large part due to the fact that a Trinex can be anywhere. Meanwhile, over at the race game, that is a hammer.
Which obviously is going to destroy those people hoping for Aga seeds, but, you know, it was nice thinking about those slots for just a few minutes as jmeasher now goes and checks the back 3 of Escape.
And we're going to see Zelga basically pick up right where jmeasher had left off there, heading up to do Uncle and Hyrule Castle here. So Zelga will get his hookshot and gloves, and nothing really doing there in the back of Escape.
Yep, and he'll probably mutter something about dirty uncle routers, but we call dirty uncle routers because there's a little bit of a dividing line between people in the randomizer community about who routes in the uncle first and who routes in uncle when they actually have weapons to go through the escape.
Right, it's a little bit of our version of the Greedo shot first versus Han shot first communities. Or any other, similar religious debates, but we love our uncle routers, we love our sync routers. Just be aware of those dirty people who start and go directly to dam.
And get rewarded when they end up pulling out something that allows them to get into a mini Moldorm cave.
Exactly.
Well, there's 3 bombs that can get you into a mini Moldorm cave, but you're probably not going to be able to defeat the mini Moldorms with 2 bombs. Just saying.
It's going to take some precision, I'll say that much.
It's going to take a lot of precision in trying to get one of those Moldorms to move over.
Yeah.
Because you ain't going to get that with the 2 Moldorms there in the middle and the right.
No, you're not. And Hookshot making that a lot easier than trying to complete this room with 2 bombs. We will see 20 rupees, 10 arrows. There's our Dark World. Yep. A compass to Swamp Palace and 3 more bombs there. So we do have our Dark World access in terms of knowledge between the 2 runners. Both of them will. jmeasher probably heading to Kakariko after this, unless he is committing hard to the Kak skip and going to go Saha Eastern. Zelga will probably go south after finishing up here and doing Back of Escape as well. And probably get that access and dive straight into the Dark World here.
And Ice Rod Cave is a very interesting play because some runners tend to use this as ability to save some time in the course of a run. You probably won't see that in caliber runners such as Zelga or jmeasher, but we've seen it come into play in races before, but not with 10 arrows inside.
No, I think both of these runners, they will make skips when needed, but they are not going to be looking to probably try and skip anything in Sphere 1. Certainly, I don't think they're at that level of aggression. Neither one of them, both of them being excellent runners, neither one of them feels like they are, significantly outmatched to need like a wild play to kind of make up ground.
And our trekker Tafil is mentioning about how this would have been better for jmeasher if he routed south from Kakariko south through the race game to the north, because then he'd be able to go into the Dark World. However, that's not necessarily true on how he's going to get to the Dark World just yet, because we get ourselves another sequence break here.
Yep, so he's going to head up the mountain here, which is a play that I probably should have considered for him, but didn't think about with the glove and hook shot there. That could be an interesting play for him, though, to get up here. He's going to be able to access another 10 or so items as it stands. He won't be able to do Hera right now, which if Zelga were to make a similar play, he would have access to having that hammer. But we will see what we find up here regardless.
A little bit of love from the old man. A little bit of love from the cabbage. Can't take too much love from the cabbage, though, because you get put back to start if you do.
Yep, and Zelga got his Ice Rod as well out of Dark Cross. He actually went from the back. I think he was kind of hoping that maybe the small key would be in Dark Cross and he could skip it entirely. So he had the slightly more difficult journey from the back, but still handled it perfectly fine.
Yeah, which means he had to deal with that key wrap problem. Ah!
Well, that's a nice little find. Got a bow
Now,
up here.
logically, you definitely still need to have that bow in order to finish Eastern and the Palace of Darkness, which we don't know if we have to because we don't know what our pendants and crystals are at this stage in the run. But you're never going to argue about finding that bow against the Armos Knights.
Yeah, for sure. Those can show up anywhere. And, you know, especially in the situation now for jmeasher, that is his best weapon.
Yeah.
He's trying to get this bomb jump set up.
Yeah, does he have the right spot for that?
I believe
Yes, he
so.
does. That could be a rather finicky jump, too.
Yep, and we do see that Zelga is heading up here. He is going to get these same checks, but we will probably, from him, also see what is in Tower of Hera. So that could be a potential advantage here for Zelga in the early going of this one.
jmeasher needs to be just a little careful, because these dead rocks can be rather evil. He is able to get through it. I was worried about that one that almost crossed paths with him. But
Yeah.
anything on that side of the mountain does 1 heart damage or more.
Right. Yeah, I think the Tektites are even double that, or
The
2
blue
hearts.
ones, yeah, the blue ones are 1. The red ones are 2.
That's right. We got a shield and $20 there in the first 2 chests of Paradox Cave, as Zelga is going to pick up his bow as well.
Oh yeah. And the thing with the Armos Knights, again, them appearing anywhere, is the fact that you could find situations where you have to defeat them with something other than the bow. Now, this usually shows up in like cross key type of mode when you have to go into a GT without the bow, but it can show up here in the boss Randomizer too.
Yeah, and really nothing terribly important there in the 5 chests of Paradox either. So we'll see if jmeasher gets anything out of Spiral Cave here, but that might not be... he's got the bow, which could, you know, direct him over to Saha Eastern potentially, but you have to be nervous about going in and trying to fight a boss early without, you know, a swingable weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Which is where jmeasher is at until he gets to Kakariko.
Yeah, that's where he's going to be finding himself that hammer that Zelga has. That's on the race game.
Yeah. So the hammer and the flippers, I believe, were all that we really got out of Kakariko, but that'll be enough to send him straight into Dark World after that as well.
Mm-hmm. And 50 rupees on the Spiral Cave. So we'll probably see Zelga make his way into the Tower of Hera, where we get to play a little bit of a game with you all. That is, guess what boss is going to be at the top of the Tower of Hera. Now, we not necessarily can logically get to the top of Hera, but what's logic to these two fellas?
No, not logic's a suggestion. It's a thing to keep in mind.
Yeah,
a thing to remember as it sails off into the distance.
And these two runners are pretty solid when it comes to actually keeping up with what logic is doing to you in these seeds. However, I will point out that this is going to be a Hera pot for Zelga.
It is, yeah. So this will be interesting. No fire source if there's anything in the basement.
I was about to say, jmeasher not picking up that compass would be critical, because having these compasses are very good things to have. Now, Zelga at 369 rupees is going to grab that 20, knowing that he's still short money for Zora.
Yeah, I think that's. I'm a little surprised he went and picked that up, given that he's still, a decent way away from Zora, but it is in logic, both via the glove and via the flippers that he's found so far. So, you certainly can't fault him for thinking about it.
And good, wise movement there from Zelga, making sure that jar stays settled on the ground because of subpixel reasons in regards to trying to do this Hera pot setup. Pulls it off.
Yep, and we're seeing jmeasher make his way into Kakariko now from the north, so he's gonna get down here, get all the way through, and then at the very end of this, he's gonna get the hammer for his prize, and we'll see what direction he goes from there. Whether he goes back north to the Kakariko portal, or if he maybe heads over and does like Hype Cave first.
Now, one interesting thing about what Zelga is doing here is that because he decided to Hera pot, he's oh, hi Helmastar King, how you doing, buddy?
Alright, so Zelga's pretty well stocked on bombs, which helps a lot on this fight. This isn't, even though you have the hammer, this is not the recommended way, I would say, of landing these hits. The bombs do equivalent of 4 hammer hits, and they're, with the movement and the hole in the middle, getting middle hold here is arguably even worse than in a normal Moldorm fight up here, so you want to be extra sure that you don't lose all your resources going for it. And now you can use the bow as a long-range weapon to take him out here, and Helma playing really nice there by staying in one direction as Zelga plugged in with those 8 arrows.
And fight is done, a blue rupee and a crystal. So we do need to do the Tower of Hera to gain access to Ganon's tower.
Yep. And then I assume we will see Zelga head back over and pick up Spiral Cave to finish up his route on the mountain.
Mm-hmm. So obviously we're going to be asking the big question at a later point, what is inside of that big chest? But we may not get that answer for quite a while. jmeasher are going to be going through the village, so yeah, game 3 between these two runners. What a series this has been between these two, obviously splitting the first 2 games.
Yeah, I got to see the first race that jmeasher won in. That was a very good race. Did not get to see what happened in the second one, but I know it's not the first time that at least Zelga for sure has flirted with an 0-1 deficit after facing M2 Nest cartridge in the first round and having to come back and win that series as well.
Yeah, this has been quite a adventure here for Zelga in the round of brackets, but this just shows you how difficult brackets can be. The fact that one of these 2 runners will be leaving this tournament after this round is all done, that says something.
Yeah, but they're, you think these are 2 just big name runners, and they absolutely are, but if you look at, who's in the top 32, it's almost like that the entire way down. There's going to be great runners getting knocked out just at every level from here on out.
You could say that about the round of 64. You could say that about the people who made it into the top 128.
Exactly. It is the talent pool has risen so high here. jmeasher picks up his hammer, which is where I was going when I was thinking hard in my head. And it's going to have Dark World access. Looks like he's going to save and quit to Link's house and head south into the Dark World here, I would imagine. Yep.
And answering the question, anyone in the top 32 that's new? Well, we definitely do have some newer runners in the top 32. Like, for instance, we do have the likes of Scottish Brave, who knocked off F. Coughlin in round 1 of the brackets, 2 games to 1.
Yeah, I believe this is Zen Arcane's first run deep into a tournament as well. He made it through over T2 14 in the first round.
Mirror Shield.
Mirror Shield's fine. Mirror Shield's great.
I'd say you'd love to see it, but you don't.
Yeah, and Zelga is getting his Dark World access as well, picking up the Moon Pearl out of Mini Moldorm Cave.
And Zelga's gonna go for a swim.
And one thing to note is that Zelga did get up to that 500 rupees, so he will be able to pick up... Oh, that's new information.
Hera is one of our 5-6 also.
Yeah, but kind of more importantly there, just passing across the corner of Zelga's screen, we saw the Cane of Samaria on Hylia Island.
Mm-hmm. And you definitely want to find out that piece of information, especially since now we know that Turtle Rock is a crystal.
Yep.
And do you like a fetch quest?
I love a fetch quest. There's our
No,
mushroom there for Zelga. And
Don't lie to me. How do you really feel about fetch quests when you get them as a runner?
Fetch quests are great. I love doing fetch quests.
I can feel sarcasm in your voice.
I grew up playing Link's Awakening. There's nothing that brings me greater joy than getting a can of dog food and exchanging it for bananas.
with a stick somewhere in there.
Yeah. A stick, a mermaid scale. You know how these things go. Nothing I love more.
And just when you think you're done with that chain, well, now you've got another 7 items to go in that chain.
Exactly.
So nice of them to bring it to Ocarina of Time, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that was the Ocarina of Time. When you add timers to your fetch quest, that's
oh, my God, yeah.
That's when you're going galaxy brain there.
Oh, absolutely.
So, meanwhile, there's a race happening here.
Yes, there is.
Zelga saw a compass there on the Zora ledge.
I was going to ask you, Will, is Zelga going to pick up that compass?
Oh, boy. Will he? Probably.
He is going to pick up that red mail, and he is going to go ahead and pick up this compass. Now, for Zelga's sake, you're hoping that this is not the compass to Hera or the compass to Ganon's tower.
That is a good point. Yeah, the compasses definitely go down in value as the seed goes on, so...
but it seems...
Well, that's about the next least valuable one, since it's just so quick to walk to the Thieves Town boss door anyway.
Yeah, but it's still good to know that when you're doing the first 4, that if there's a Tranix there, that you're done with the first 4.
Right. That is, I mean, yeah, it's valid information, but it's...
Yeah.
It probably saved you about the amount of time it took you to walk over and get that compass.
It's not like Ice Palace where you got to go down like 6 levels in order to find out that it's Trinex there, but...
Exactly. It's not the back of pod where you're devoting, 90 seconds, a minute or 2 minutes to get all the way back to the boss. Yeah, no, it's a little bit different there.
So we've seen one non-small key in the first section of the Palace of Darkness, if I remember correctly. That was the big key, which was vanilla.
That's always a good time. Now, I think if you were doing this dungeon, maybe with a different loadout, or in a different mode even, you might consider just going straight to the boss here, especially not having mirror. But for jmeasher, being swordless... Not being able to kill any fire bosses.
Oh!
Ooh, there's Boots over there on the right side.
A good second 9 key there.
Yeah. I was also going to say, not having any fire to do the back with, I think you go ahead and do your clear of the dungeon, even if you might do it a little differently in another circumstance here. We are going to get some new checks from Zelga as well. He's going to head over west from K45. Or from Hype Cave. We're going to see a piece of heart there on Stumpy.
Well, north of K45.
Yeah, it's there.
You're close.
We don't have a mirror, but it's there. And a small key in the compass chestapod is going to lead us to...
Oh my goodness, Arrow game strats here to get the digging money.
Arrow game. It's not just for inverted anymore.
Or cross keys. We get to jam out to this tune for at least one round.
Love to see it.
Who's the you in this case?
Everyone. So, Zelga, having freshly shot some targets, now has the money to play the dig game.
where any dig between 1 and 30 can yield you your item. And this time around, it's 10.
Yeah, 10 digs for $50. That's a reasonable
And I
work-to-effort ratio.
And I think Zelga was thinking about continuing to dig, but that 50 puts him over 110, which is giving him considerations for his next lineup of plays. Yeah. Oh, jmeasher passing away in the dark maze.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. This dark maze is so tough when you are both lampless and swordless, because hookshot doesn't even do anything against the Kadongos back there.
So that's good, at least for Zelga, because that means jmeasher's advantage with the boots are not going to be significant. And we find out our green pendant is... Thank you, game.
Of course it's Thieves Town. It's always Thieves Town. Who are we kidding?
And so... 25 rupees and 10 arrows, your reward.
jmeasher getting the hammer yump set up there, getting the piece of heart out of the big chest. As Zelga is going to make his way into Eastern Palace. We have not seen this yet from jmeasher, so we will see what we find in here.
Yeah, not having the mirror kind of pushes Zelga into this direction first, and then the Palace of Darkness. We have ourselves a Moldorm for the boss of Eastern. So I guess the next big question is how many eyeballs we're going to get.
Ooh, I love a good, everyone's going to shout for either 1 or 8, but, I love a good, like, 6-eyed Moldorm. I like the symmetry.
You know what? I'm going to make you all predict. How many eyes are we going to see from Moldorm? As jmeasher gives us the Bonkrock checks for 20 rupees.
Well, I have cast my vote. Sorry, did anything happen in the race?
No.
Okay,
no.
Great.
We saw 10 arrows and we saw 20 rupees. That's all.
Okay. And we're going to find out Lumberjack, which we have not seen yet. Now that we have those boots. We're still a ways away from it being in logic, but we'll find out if Aga is entirely dead, and he sure is. We are not going to be going through Castle Tower today for 10 arrows.
I mean, he's alive, since we're not going to kill him.
Well, yeah. Hey, speaking of 10 arrows.
Yeah, this dungeon's filled with fun stuff to have.
Definitely. So we're going to see jmeasher head over here the long way around through the woods here to get to the portal into Village of Outcasts, and we'll see which direction he goes from there.
Answering a random orbit, no, we do not know if Eastern is a pendant or crystal at this point because of the Mick portion of the Mick boss here. As the maps and compasses are shuffled, and we have not seen the map yet.
There's the sword. Finally, 27 minutes in.
And that's going to help Zelga with the upcoming Dark Room, because this Dark Room is not free.
Yeah. There's that, and also, assuming that Zelga goes into pod after this play, which I expect he will, that will make his experience in there a lot easier and maybe make the boss doable for him as well.
I mean, granted that both of these runners are veterans with these Dark Rooms, but as you can see, Zelga is starting to get bounced around because he lost a little bit of placement in that room. That small key dropped down and he got bounced around. Took a few hearts to get to that point, but you can lose control of these Dark Rooms real fast and they become problems. I mean, we saw that with jmeasher with the... What are those things called again?
Oh, the Kadongos in the Dark Maze? Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
they're
no-
dongos.
Yeah. That dark room that Zelga was in can get away from you real fast, and more than once I've done the.
There's our lamp to put it all in logic.
Oh, good, great. I'm sure jmeasher is thrilled to see that right
One!
after. No, one-eyed old Moldorum. Congratulations to everyone.
You sound kind of upset that it's one. Was that not your pick?
No, I said 6.
There's our first bottle.
There's a bottle, yep.
And it is a crystal.
Okay.
Looks like it's a 20-1 payback for those who ended up choosing 1.
It's okay. I saved more points for the next prediction. I'll earn mine back.
It's all part of the process.
Yep.
All right, Zelga, getting ready to head to the portal to the Dark World.
And jmeasher is about to finish up his check at the front of Skull Woods with just another small key.
Zelga will be happy to see those boots. So that makes the jmeasher boot advantage around, maybe like 8 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, probably in that neighborhood. So not going to be, unless Zelga goes straight to the back or something like that, but I would imagine he's going to go through the right side as well here. Yeah, assuming he does the same route, it's going to be about that 8 minutes or so, and Zelga's going to get a little bit more utility out of his boots just from having that sword as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because, boy, dashing around, especially dashing around on the Dark World, is big scary without that sword in front of you.
Mm-hmm, for certain. So, a couple of big things here in this race. The fact that jmeasher, at this point, does not know about that Cane of Samaria on Lake Hylia Island, and also doesn't know that he's about to go into Green Pendant Thieves Town. That being said, jmeasher does have the arsenal to logically clear the Tower of Hera when he actually gets in there.
Yeah, that's true. He will have an advantage. If you can call Hera Basement an advantage, if something is in Hera Basement, I think he has an advantage. But
we know Hera Basement's going to have the big key.
Right,
the big question is what's in the big chest.
Yeah,
and that's the big part.
Yeah, I skipped a step there. But yeah, that big chest rather is the one that's the unchecked item. And 10 arrows from the chest game as Zelga is about to get his big key out of the vanilla chest in pod.
And as jmeasher goes into Thieves Town, does have the compass.
I think the compass is only on Zelga's side for Thieves Town.
Okay.
That was the one we got on Zora Ledge, I believe.
Oh, right. You're right. So jmeasher's doing this fully blind. Doesn't know it's Green Pendant. Doesn't know that the boss is either. So it's all around unknown for jmeasher.
Yeah, and one thing that's going to be interesting to see here is, does jmeasher do the other checks in the back of Thieves Town? This is one of the things that is possible to skip, since you don't need to bomb the floor to get to the boss in Thieves Town in Boss Shuffle. But it means that you're going to be leaving those items behind for probably quite a while if you choose to skip them.
And Zelga gets the boots in 3, 2, 1, go.
And he literally will.
Now, he is gonna go check the back first. We didn't see anything all that important in the back from jmeasher. And the boss of Thieves Town. We can do this one.
Landmos.
Ice Rod Strat's just a little bit off on the timing.
Timing is tough. There's some little bit of hitbox jank when it comes to him, but Hammer's going to clean it up pretty nicely here. It's a really good job there, getting those 4 hits in at the end for a green pendant and a green rupee.
Well, adequate.
So, one thing to kind of keep in mind is that jmeasher has not even been to Sahasrara yet, so he's going to get to do all of that with Eastern Palace, in one go. So he will almost certainly be to that green pendant and have that check done before Zelga gets anywhere close to doing that.
Nothing important inside of the maze, so really nothing inside this Palace of Darkness as far as we've seen.
Yeah, no, it's just the boots that has been the big prize so far.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are going to argue that is the big prize indeed. As jmeasher wraps up these checks, I kind of think that jmeasher will probably do that check coming up here next, especially considering the fact that he got that green pendant. Wants to take that advantage as far as he can.
Yeah, definitely. If you get something there after running into Thieves Town, you're going to feel, pretty good about your route here, because not too many people's routes are going to lead them, to that green pendant before getting over to Eastern Saha with where we got that bow. And sure enough, it looks like he is heading over to the Eastern area as Zelga is having some fun with the beetles there in the arena pod.
Fun being a relative term. jmeasher finding about that cane of Samaria on Hylia Island. And now it's going to get that mushroom off the hobo.
And we have not seen that mushroom turn in yet from Zelga, so if he makes it over to that at some point, that will be new information for us as well.
Alright, what do you think is going to be the boss of this Palace of Darkness?
I'm thinking something a little bit easy but kind of annoying, and that's going to be a Mothula. Because you still got to worry about those spikes in the back of the room. They still eat the damage the same way they do in his normal arena.
Can I take it one step further in that case?
Go for it.
Blind.
Oh, that's just...
That's annoying with those spikes in the back.
It is. You pretty much end up just standing around and waiting, or sneaking up there and trying to get one hit in the corner. And Zelga's having some fun here in Dark Turtle's room. Gets through it very nicely there. Only taking half a heart of damage. And I did not see what was over at the mushroom, but I saw that we reset immediately, and that's usually a sign.
Piece of heart.
Right.
Hey, Zelga goes in. Trinex, hi. No, that's not Trinex. That's Cold Stare. Still bye.
Yeah. So we need either a Bombos or a Fire Rod to be able to kill that Cold Stare, and thus far we have not seen either.
The way that floor changed, I thought that was the Trinex sign, but apparently not.
Yeah, it did look similar to that Trinex shell outline that you get in that boss fight as well.
All right, here's the big check here for jmeasher. No.
It's 20 extra rupees that he'll have up on Zelga there.
Yeah, but we don't score this based on your rupee count at the end of the game.
We don't?
If we did that, then I'd be winning a whole lot more races than I am.
Oh, well, now I feel bad about getting knocked out of this tournament. I was playing it all wrong.
I thought the higher score was what was supposed to get you into the tournament. Apparently, I read the rules wrong and misunderstood that it was your Z score that needed to be the higher part.
Yeah, we should have a talk with these admins. I don't know what they're thinking these days, Rick.
We'll schedule a meeting for the 30th of February.
All right, got it. I'll put it on my calendar right now.
And while he goes and puts that on his calendar, Zelga goes ahead and checks the Ice Rod Cave, which is going to be nothing for him, which we already saw from jmeasher.
Yep, Zelga went straight into the flipper checks when he came over this way after mini Moldorm, so he left Ice Rock Cave, but still pretty good routing here. I think knowing that he had the flippers, so he could just wait and pair it in with his Bonk Rocks and Lumberjack checks. So
we had to reschedule that meeting, by the way. We're gonna make it the 31st of September.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see. Yeah, I'm still available, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure.
So the question now becomes, where is our progression?
Yeah, we have been without anything that's opened new checks for us.
Bottle!
Oh, this is a new check for us.
Doesn't do anything for us right now, but
Yeah, well, that's a welcome sight for sure. For Zelga, and eventually jmeasher is going to get over there after he finishes up Eastern Palace here. But yeah,
jmeasher is just around the corner from getting his first sword.
So what have we not seen at this point? Is it really Back of Pod and Spike Cave at this point?
You mean Thieves Town, but yeah.
Back of Thieves Town, sorry, and yeah.
Well, we've got that big chest of Hera looming large.
I guess we have Pyramid and Catfish as well. Those are
Pyramid and Catfish.
Checks.
Oh God, yeah, those are such wonderful checks out there.
Yeah. jmeasher going to get his first sword here out of the key chest.
I can think of another place we haven't checked.
What's that?
It's a Spear 1 location that most people do not like to route in early.
Is it Agena?
It's Agena.
That's right. And one other check that is now in logic for us that we touched on earlier, that Hera big chest.
Mm-hmm. I love that reaction by Zelga.
Did you catch what the boss was there? I saw the map check, but I didn't see what it actually was.
Yeah, I'll catch it in just a second. Yeah, we got a blind.
Oh, that's not fun to fight.
Not in that movie.
Not on conveyors. No.
All right, the single-eyed Moldorm has been defeated for jmeasher.
Yep, so that is his first crystal of the match now. Second dungeon completed. Yeah, we've got kind of scattered locations right now. One thing that I think will be interesting to see here, Zelga having checked a bit more of the game at the time that he's going to be going into Thieves Town, and knowing that he needs some kind of progression somewhere, because it's been a hot minute since he's seen anything. You think he might be a little bit more incentivized to do those checks in the back of Thieves Town?
I do, actually. Especially since he has defeated the Tower of Hera and does not want to go back anytime soon.
Right. Yeah, no, he's probably... he's pretty low on, dense locations to look for things at this point. So, if you're already going in there for the front four and going in there for the boss and green pendant, you might just say, like, the odds are good enough now that I can go to the back and do these 3 checks for 2 items here.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and scout the ledge.
As jmeasher gets his master sword there from the sick kid.
And jmeasher back up here on the mountain, which means we're going to go into the Tower of Hera.
Yes, it does.
So I think if you're rooting for Zelga in this case, you almost want that Hera big chest to be either nothing that's required or maybe Mitt, because that would stop Zelga in his tracks real soon.
Right, yeah, that would force you back up there, and if you get anything that's kind of in one of these other bad locations that you check before going back for that, that actually kind of gives you a little bit of an advantage. There's certainly been more than a few races swung by who managed to get to get to the mitts later than their opponent because of how much the mitts open up.
Mm-hmm. Now, on the other hand, though, if you're rooting for jmeasher, you want it to be something that Zelga needs, but not immediately to the point that he has to get back there ASAP.
Yeah, so if you're rooting for jmeasher, maybe a Meyer or TR medallion would be big ones, or even like a fire rod would be, wouldn't gate that much for Zelga unless the progression route is through back of Skull Woods or something.
Maybe even flute.
Yeah, flute would be another one. I think if you're rooting for Zelga, the one thing you really don't want to see here is mirror, because that's going to mean a definite last location of that, having to go the long way up here a second time. So it'll be decision time here for Zelga when he gets to the back, and we're going to get this big key here from the basement for jmeasher.
Yep, then he's going to take the death to the Staphos.
Yeah, not the most fun thing to do on Blue Mail, but gets it done.
And Zelga pulling out the ice rod. Alright, let's see how Zelga does this.
I thought it interesting that Zelga waited till he was in the back of the dungeon to do the map, or to do the map check for the boss. So I think that tells me he was going to make a decision on back of Thieves or not, based off of that boss.
Here we go.
Hera big chest time.
Ooh.
Okay, so that's a fire rod. That is obviously a big find for jmeasher. The question's going to be, how much more of our progression is gated behind that fire rod to force Zelga back to it sooner, or if it's something that he could leave until much later in the seed if he finds mirror or mitts back here in the back of Thieves Town.
jmeasher running out of bombs, 2 remaining. Switches over to hammer at this point.
Yeah, I think he needs just a couple more hits now.
Well, he definitely does need to be careful because he was right next to that middle hole.
Yeah.
Now, if you're cheering on Zelga, it's not death time here, because it all comes down to what's in this Thieves Town.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that jmeasher probably isn't going to be, coming back to real soon unless forced. A very unhelpful map to Eastern Palace. And Almasar down for jmeasher, gets his second crystal to tie up the count there. We are going to see Spike Cave. This is another new check for us on jmeasher's side.
And he takes a look at the map, gets the information that we did regarding Skull Wood, so he knows he's got to go there with that fire rod. Alright, one more item inside of this Thieves Town.
And
there it
only
is.
10 arrows.
Nothing in the back at all.
And 50 rupees there in Spike Cave, so We will see. I would not be surprised at all to see jmeasher. Yep, we're starting at Sanctuary. Spec, we're heading right back to Skullwoods there on his side.
Mm-hmm.
And Zelga gonna go do the mushroom turn in, and we'll see if he chooses to reset it or just moves along with his life.
So, really thinking about things at this point, Zelga's down to 3 logical checks after this, and the return trip to Hera. Something tells me he's going to be forced into that Hera sooner than he actually is planning at this point.
Yeah, there's a very real possibility.
You know you hate to see it, but
the sooner you can last locate, the better off you are, because you can adjust your routing to that after. If it's not, if you're still a few items from go mode, which we obviously we're at least 4 or 5 items at this point from full go. If you last locate early, you can adjust and recover to it. If you last locate at the very end of the seed, it's very, very often kind of a death knell for you.
And I forgot about the screen pennant turn-in for Zelga, so that made it 4. But now you're down to just options at this point. And judging by the fact that Zelga is starting at the house, this is going to be an Agena check. Or no,
it's either this or Pyramid
out.
Catfish. Yeah.
Hammer is out, so we've got that.
We're going to see a blind fight on conveyors over here on jmeasher's side in just a second. And this is one time you definitely want to take sword beams in with you to this fight. Because the beams make
mirror.
Oh, that's a fine too.
That will help him with that Hera return.
It will make that return trip a little easier, but it's also going to give him several more kind of scattered out checks to do. It's also going to give him a Swamp Palace to clear before he thinks about getting back up there at all. And he's going to get that Cane of Samaria with the mirror as well.
And he's also going to check these bonk rocks with that mirror as well.
Yep. Anyway, jmeasher making great work of Moth there. Those sword beams make that fight much easier than trying to do it up close and personal.
Oh yeah. That's a fight you can lose control of very, very fast.
Very much. And just a heart container there from the bridge chest, so no progression back there, but a 3rd crystal for jmeasher. They're giving him an advantage in that department at this point.
So, jmeasher, looks like we're going to get those flipper checks, completing those from earlier.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot that he had not been over to Zora.
Yeah, he had not picked up that red mail at all.
Yep.
All right, here goes Zelga to pick up that red cane.
I don't think we hit the bottle yet on Zelga's side when he got over there, but just a B from the Waterfall Fury today.
Yippee. You can tell how I'm excited I am about that.
You sound pretty excited, Rick. I love to hear it. Zelga going to go back to the portal here and pick up Catfish to kind of complete circuitous but efficient route for getting all of these checks done. And now we'll see what direction jmeasher heads. He's starting at Sanctuary again here. So this may be back of Thieves Town for him, which is going to be a bit of a time sink for not a lot of payout. I don't know what else he would be coming over here for.
Realizing he doesn't have the mids at this point. And bottle number 2, compliments of our catfish friend.
Yep. So Zelga gonna head south here. Expect him to do probably Swamp Palace into the South Dark World mirror checks. For jmeasher, it's just gonna be a question of, it looks like maybe that mirror is what is gating the seed, which is kind of good and bad news for Zelga, knowing about that fire rod that is behind in Hera.
Which means Zelga's going to find the next step in this progression, just little that he knows. What he really needs is to get that fire rod out of the Tower of Hera.
Right. You maybe hope that he could route that check in, maybe whenever he does Dark Death Mountain, and then, checks, maybe he routes it in with that, and then can kind of pick that back up into Turtle Rock or wherever we are in the seed at that point. But right now, that is kind of the one big thing that's looming large for him, much larger than the mirror that jmeasher is going to get forced into here pretty shortly.
And we can't do this boss here for Zelga. That's a Trinex.
Yeah. So unfortunately, having that information doesn't really... You're not far from the boss when you're doing the last check in the waterfall room, so you're still going to end up clearing, most of this dungeon here.
I remember a race in the first round that came down to a fire rod search in regards to a Trinex in Swamp Palace. In that case, the fire rod was in the big chest of Swamp Palace itself.
Oh boy.
The thing is we don't even know if we have to do this dungeon yet. We don't know about our 2 other pendants.
That's true. This very well could be one of our 2 pendants today. We don't know. We may not need to come back for Trinex at all. But that is kind of one thing to keep in mind, is that every boss appears at least once and at most twice in the shuffle. So there is only one other, we can only have one other Trinex appear during the seed. So if you're, one of those horrible sadists that cheers for a nice Trinex, your odds are on life support, I'll say right now.
Yeah, they're not completely dead, but jmeasher making the play back into pod.
Yep, so he will be able to have, as long as he can keep a full magic bar to the back here, be able to defeat the cold stare back there.
Our container inside the left side. And the right side of the 2 left side swamp chests is a piece of heart. And just as a reminder, this is game 3. The one who moves on is the person who wins this race. The one who does not, obviously, they're done for this tournament.
Yeah, big stakes on the line here. Zelga obviously had a very strong showing last year as the third place finisher in the tournament. And jmeasher has had, I forget exactly where he finished, if he participated last year, but he's had some very, very strong showings as well. There's the big chest, or big key, sorry, that will open the big chest here on the next screen.
Fine, you're gonna make me have to do some nice bombos.
Okay, well,
I was gonna say, you're gonna make me do some research, aren't you?
I am. So, one thing that kind of to think about there is that's one less thing that's gonna gate Zelga from that fire rod. And we get a book and a bug net. Bug net is not nothing, as having a fairy on hand can be helpful, although on red mail I wouldn't expect any major issues for either of our runners.
And that's the end of that trip for Zelga.
But yeah, so that Bombos also does open up Ice Palace, and is one less thing gating him from that versus finding that fire rod.
Alright, so Zelga goes and checks the Bombos tablet to get 3 bombs.
And you remember what I said about keeping full magic?
Well,
okay, he does have sword beams.
Yeah, that helps.
So,
but does not have enough.
He didn't land enough of them. Oh no. So yeah, he's got to save and quit out. Oh, that's unfortunate.
That's unfortunate, yeah. So I took a look at the research here. jmeasher made it to the brackets back in the 2021 tournament, but lost the 2-1 series to P-Train in the first round.
Yeah, that base and P-Train will do it. But yeah, jmeasher going to head back and refill on magic, probably fill up a couple of those potions, which will come with a tinge of hindsight attached.
And the fear of, oh, I just blew this race, didn't I?
Yeah, it's certainly not a good feeling to be in that situation where you devoted 2 minutes to a check that you just couldn't complete.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is not a done deal, as we pointed out in the past, but that does give Zelga a little more time. There's the Titan's Mitts inside of Desert.
Well, that's, it opens a lot of things for him.
Vanilla!
I hear there's someone we're supposed to yell at, but I don't know if he likes it, so I guess we won't yell at him tonight.
Vitor!
jmeasher gonna head right back to pod. He says, I've learned from my mistakes. I'm gonna take the full magic bar in there this time. I'm gonna just blast you with fire rod shots until you want to cry, Cold Stare.
But one thing that does, this gives Zelga a reason to go back up on that mountain.
Yeah, so like I said, kind of the best case scenario for him to do that Hera check is going to be whenever he goes back up for Dark Death Mountain, sees what the medallion is for TR, hopefully won't be able to get far in there without the fire rod, and then, you know, hopefully he heads over and picks up Hera and Spike Cave on the left side of the mountain after that.
Alright. Stinking vanilla bosses. I will say that does take Lamos out of the pool for all remaining bosses, though.
Yep, so that's one of our 3 doubles today.
Vanilla.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine a dungeon having a vanilla boss and a vanilla item in it?
Watch it be the vanilla pendant, too. It is a crystal. That means Palace of Darkness and Swamp are our remaining pendants.
Okay, so this means jmeasher is...
He's chasing a pendant dungeon now.
Yep, chasing a pendant dungeon with one item. We do not have any information yet on what pedestal could be, but
we know you had to dig Swamp Palace, so the fact that Zelga went in without the fire rod is not going to hurt him unless we need something on that pedestal.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a very good point, though. The whole chain there was forced because you had to go into Swamp for that book to get the mitts out of Desert Palace. So
I bet this is Zelga up to the mountain now. No.
He's made fools of me. Yeah, so probably Ice Palace first.
Although I wonder, based on the way he left there, if this was not done on purpose, like he maybe wanted to go to the mountain, but now that he had started at the house, he's just going to make the best of it and go to Ice Palace.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of... There was some indecision in that routing, and that is just a...
Compass to Ganon's Tower, which is useless, and Zelga now knows that Swamp is a pendant. And we have Argus at the bottom.
Okay, well, we've had access to kill that Argus for quite a while with the early hookshot at Uncle. So... And jmeasher he is heading out of Pod Maze here, and looks like he will be getting his mirror very shortly off of the pyramid.
I mean, things seem blank for Zelga fans for a little bit there with that Fire Rod discovery, and things are not necessarily looking in Zelga's favor at this point, but things look a little brighter now. Maybe that makes him think about that item in the Hera big chest with that compass. Who knows? But the fact that Zelga has been stumbling across a few fortunes here, the fact that he does not have to go back into Swamp Palace, unless something's on the pedestal or Trinex has the item, seems to be helping him out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's still going to be reasonably thorough in his routing because he's missing, for sure...
Tempered Sword.
There's Tempered Sword in Big Key Chest.
The big challenge here for Zelga is going to come down to when he gets back on that mountain. When he does Death Mountain, Dark Death Mountain, that is. If he does not check Hera at that point when he goes to check the Ether Tablet, then that's a done deal.
Yeah, I agree. The one thing that I think gives me hope that he will be more likely to check it is that he's also going to have Spike Cave right there next to it. But it is possible that you could go over for Spike Cave and say the time to do Hera Basement and then do another Hera Pot up to the top to get the item. That's just too much time for me to commit.
And that's a tough one to do too, because we've seen races that come down to that. You being over thorough.
Right.
And it depends on how you feel at game 3 of a top 32. You know the competition is hot at this point.
Yeah, definitely. And both of these guys are going to be doing their just like absolute best to maximize their efficiency and, thinking about what their opponent's doing as well. Because this is this is a tough situation for both of them at this point.
Oh yeah, for certain. I mean, Zelga's going to be feeling absolutely bad if he does get that Fire Rod, because he knows he should have had that, but he made the gamble with the early Hera Pop play. Right. jmeasher's going to be going into the Swamp Palace, and
that the lamp also locked the mountain entirely. So if he may think, since I did the mountain out of logic, that put me behind.
And you might make a couple of decisions to skip a few things based on that too. And again, these are two fantastic competitors who've played this a lot. They've played this probably, we're looking at maybe 1,000 seeds plus since its inception, since the first tournament inception in 2017.
Yeah, I think that's a conservative but accurate number. And we're going to see our Icy Argus fight here.
I like that pink hue.
That is, yeah. I'm digging the color vibe that they got going on today.
Yes, because of course it takes the place of Cold Stare, which would have that pink hue. Alright, Cold Stare drops the key, which means we needed that key in Samaria to beat the dungeon. There's the crystal for Zelga, putting him at 4 crystals overall. Now this is Dark Death Mountain after this.
I think that has to be the play here. What do we know?
Not.
What do we know, Rick?
There are times when I feel like I should just give up trying. Oh, he's going to go back to pod.
Oh,
he doesn't know about it being a pendant.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to give a little more time to jmeasher, so that reshines a little bit of light for jmeasher here going through this swamp palace.
Yeah, he's gonna follow probably the same route that Zelga's been on for the past 10-15 minutes here, where he's gonna get the book out of the back here, get the Blombos tablet here, you know, and then head right over to desert and get those myths, and then probably for him it'll be a similar route after that, Ice Palace, and then up the mountain. So if you're looking at this race from Zelga's perspective, the sooner he gets back to that fire rod, that kind of puts him on even footing. But until he does, you know, he's kind of clearing ground right now. But you know, jmeasher's going to be able to clear in that same ground here. Zelga's not going to be doing anything that jmeasher isn't for quite a while. So there's, you know, really that fire rod is the big advantage up there in Hera.
Oh yeah. And all because jmeasher did not have the hammer when he went up to the mountain the first time. Just a little bit of the order of operation. Sometimes that's the way this race can go.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't even, you know, a conscious skip of Hera without the fire source. No, he just couldn't get to it at all.
Yep. All right, jmeasher getting his heart and a quarter over here on left side swamp.
And
but the goods that are waiting for jmeasher are out back. Most importantly, that book. Bombos was in the big chest too.
Yeah, he got that before going over to the left side, so has that in hand.
Which Tafiel will go ahead and light up in just a moment. Zelga doing a few spins around. Kind of hard to have your normal NMG style cold stare fights with the spikes getting in the way of the trajectory of your spins. But there is the fight for Zelga.
And I have to nerd out for a second, because one thing that's really nice about that cold stare fight is if you hit him into the spikes, he takes the same damage as if you hit him with a fire rod shot. So you saw Zelga just trying to keep the puffs there pinned against the spikes to speed up that fight.
All right, so there finishes the Palace of Darkness, and Zelga saves and quits.
So we're going to find out. This is an important check for jmeasher here. This will be both the item here on Trinex and the item on the pedestal in logic for him.
Oh gosh, yes. I didn't even notice that this was the third pendant for jmeasher.
Yep, so...
Judging by the way that Zelga's routing things, we're going to get an ether tablet first.
Yes, there we go. Okay, a little confusion with the head colorings there, but we got it under control now. We're going to see ether tablet here for Zelga. This is also a new check.
Yeah, but the big check coming up here right next. A piece of heart. Oh, I hope this gets that head down. Oh, it doesn't. We gotta swallow the potion. Zelga's skipping Hera.
Oh, boy.
Emergency. Boy. Emergency.
This is... There's still, I think, the possibility that he comes back, because he still has Spike Cave over there, but...
Yeah, but...
That would have been a great time for him to get it right before coming over here.
If you're rooting jmeasher, you want to see Bombos as the thing to get into this Turtle Rock. It's Bombos!
And a heart container on the Swamp Palace boss. That is the third pendant for jmeasher. He's already done Skullwood, so there's not really like a convenient time to go do Petted. Just got that book, so we have no idea what it says on the pedestal, but that's certainly something that'll be in his mind, I think, now having cleared all 3 pendant dungeons, including going to the boss of one of them twice.
Whole bunch of rupees inside of this hookshot cave that don't really amount to a whole lot.
Yeah, hookshot cave not bringing the goods there. And jmeasher is going to head over here to Desert Palace, following that route from Bombo's tablet, and he's going to get his mitts off of the right side here. Mm-hmm. That will open up even more of the game for him.
There's the map for Palace of Darkness. Zelga goes, really?
Right.
Game. And, alright.
Time for our fire rodless dip. So if you're pulling for Zelga here, you're hoping for a big ol' nothing, anything but a small key over here on the left side.
You want a big key. You want an item. You want anything that's not a small key over here, but if you're rooting for jmeasher, you want to see this be the path of insanity.
And we have one small key that gets us to the chain chomps.
The other thing is, you don't want to see progression here.
No, you definitely do not want to see...
Oh no!
So this is bad news in multiple ways for Zelga. First of all, he's going to be doing this extra clear of TR that jmeasher will not, or like an extra second trip through here that jmeasher will not have to make. But also, he's going to go outside and get Mimic Cave checked, because this is in logic for him. Which means he's going to have no reasonable way to get back over to Hera and Spike Cave after doing this.
As jmeasher makes his way over to the Lamo. All right. We are at least blocked from finishing this dungeon. Now, yes, we get to check out the Mimic Cave, but that's it. If that was the big key, this could be still worse.
Yep, so we're going to see Mimic Cave, but that'll be the end of the road here in and through TR for Zelga.
As jmeasher makes his way over to the Lamolda. Missed time the spin, that's unfortunate.
Gets it there on the next phase. So that is...
And Mimic Cave 100 rupees, and Zelga... There's nothing else for you, buddy. Oh, I know what he's doing. He's gonna go to the other side and leave the portal there.
Okay.
I think he's gonna go to Hera next.
Okay.
And leave that portal there.
Yeah, there's nothing else to go to up here than Hera Spike Cave, and if you were just gonna do Spike Cave, it would be faster, I think, just to leave. So that's gonna help him out, I think.
Oh yeah.
because he'll be able to. I'm trying to think of how best to route it, because he's going to have to go back to the fire rod locked side at the front to get the.
Yeah, but he'll get the big key, and then he'll mirror back to that entrance.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, this is kind of like how you do it with cross keys.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of what the fastest route, whether it would be just going back through the front or through the front entrance, or actually saving the portal and just mirroring.
And I actually forgot that jmeasher had not done Ice Palace. I thought it was just a Skull Woods clear that currently Zelga has over, or jmeasher has over Zelga.
Yeah, no. So he's still got to do the full clear in here before he can get up to Turtle Rock after this.
And this isn't a done deal yet. That flute is still outstanding.
That flute is still outstanding, and we still don't know if we will need a medallion for Misery Mire.
Which we can't find out until we get that flute.
Exactly.
As far as Zelga is concerned, he knows he's going to get either the flute or the fire rod here. Or maybe the shovel, but let's not talk about the shovel.
Let's not. So
there's the fire rod for Zelga, and he's probably screaming internally.
Still going to go ahead and head right back over across the mountain again. Certainly going to be an eye roll from him, knowing that the Rule of Fire has struck in the worst of ways.
He's not going back for his portal.
No, I think he may actually just be going back through the front here. I'm not...
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's a big difference either way, really, because like I said, I was trying to kind of...
the travel time, yeah.
Maybe you save a couple like screen transitions by just hopping into the portal. I think I favor that, but maybe he forgot about it, or just maybe that was just out of convenience since you can't mirror off of the Mimic Cave side and get to Hera.
Chap pointing out he needs the big key in the roller room, but I thought he was going to just go back in through the eye door there, then go backtrack through to here, then mirror back to the eye door.
Yeah.
I actually thought that was the way he was going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to do that route between, most of that path, like, through Chain Chomps one way or the other. So. It's whatever. Not like this is a close race, for your tournament life or anything.
I know! I mean, that does definitely bring up a good question for scientific purposes, but, an hour 21 into a race is not the time to be actually executing. Is point A to point B faster than point B to point A?
Yeah, no, an hour 21 is the time in the race when we salute Days Cloud and his 121 in the cross key seed one time. How
in the heck do you pull off a 121 in cross keys?
Well, we've got our best scientists on that one, too.
Why are we keeping the scientists busy on these things?
It's they like their rando. We like our scientists. It all works out.
Thankfully, jmeasher doesn't have to worry about the magic container. I mean, we had Bombo, so it was not that big of a deal. If this, we had a second close share, but...
And he did stock up on potions as well after the first pod excursion.
Could this race really be coming down to that pod excursion?
There is a very reasonable chance that that could end up playing a difference in this one. That was a good...
Ether!
Okay, so that's...
2-3.
2 out of 3, yeah. You're probably feeling a lot better at this point once you find that flute that you are, in fact, in go mode.
And the crazy thing is, if we don't see this progression soon, it's on a very, very horrible location. And I'm not talking just pedestal. We're talking breadsmith, chain. Has either of these runners checked K45?
No, I don't think so, because they both went towards Bombos after... There's our flute! There's our flute.
So we are in 2/3 go mode. I know the odds are better than 2/3. I know. Every time I say 2/3, people go, well, the odds are better than 2/3, but it's still, you got 2 out of 3 medallions. That's where I get the 2/3 from. Thank you. I gotta reestablish myself the ability to do that. And we got other people quoting Meatloaf lyrics.
All right, so Zelga is cruising on his way into the Vitreous room.
Hey, Vitreous, how you doing, buddy?
And cape and half magic and a few tempered sword spins, making nice work of Vitreous for a red boomerang, but more importantly, a 5th crystal for Zelga.
All right, now, if you are cheering jmeasher on, what you'd like to see coming up here is a Misery Mire blocked by the Quake Medallion, because that's the only out for the pedestal at this point.
Yeah, the amount of time that jmeasher is going to have for a full clear of Turtle Rock is not going to be making up the amount of time that Zelga is going to have to do doing the two checks at the back of Skull Woods by any stretch. So, for jmeasher here, he really needs this Quake or this Mire to be Quake, and then for it to be somewhere that isn't, Mire Shed or Checkerboard Cave.
Now, if you're Zelga, do you go to Skull Woods first, or do you check Mire out first?
I think I go Mire first, because if I know that I'm in go mode, I can skip Skullwood's bridge chest.
Yep. And we are fluting to 6, so we are going to get this information. Is it Bombos? Is it Ether? Or is the unknown Quake to get ourselves into Mire? It's Ether. So, at 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 24 seconds, Zelga, the first of these 2 runners into go mode.
Now, jmeasher not out of this by any stretch. We've still got much more, I think, than in your average mode. GT can play a wild card in this one, depending on what bosses show up.
For everything that's been crazy about this entire 86, now 87-minute journey, it almost feels weird to see Zelga have what is now an established lead.
It really, that ever since we found out about that fire rod, it was always kind of...
Oh, God, Mire!
Oh, okay, wow, that's... yeah. That's nice for Zelga for sure.
Well, that's going to be nice for both runners. But
yeah, true, but if you're looking for opportunities for jmeasher to make up time, that's gonna make it null and void.
There's no time to gain. You will get that big key, either 1 or 2. And jmeasher loses a little bit of time if he gets that 2.
That's a good point as well.
And I mean 2 as in the number 2, not T-O-O.
Right. Yeah, but he's still got a ways to go before he even he even gets over to Meyer as he's just now making his way out to the bridge here at TR. And then he's still going to have a flute activation before he can get over to Meyer.
Trinex too, so we're not going to get iced.
Yep, so that is our second Trinex today.
And that's our second repeating boss as well.
Yeah, so...
And Zelga did the same thing that jmeasher did with the Swamp Palace Trinex.
I did notice that, yeah, with the starting out with the fire rod shot. You want to so bad. It looks like it should be. No, it is not.
All right, crystal number 6 for Zelga now has to go to Skull Woods. Finish that off. And with 12 hearts, shouldn't be that much of a difficult fight against Blind, but still, that's not going to be a fun fight.
Yeah, I think he will be wise to do what jmeasher did in his fight and go in there with full health. Zelga does not have the Cane of Burna, so you know that additional help is out. Although with Cape, you can still kind of get up into Blind and slash away if you get a little off kilter there.
So as Zelga gets ready to head over to the back of Skull Woods, jmeasher. A couple of checks from getting the flute.
And does not know 100% for sure yet, but he's leaving the last chest on Laser Bridge, so he's assuming at least that is go mode for him.
Oh, yeah.
And he is correct in his assumption.
There's a little bit of nervousness when you head over to Meyer without that third medallion, knowing you've skipped a couple of checks, but we know jmeasher's going to get it this time around. So earlier we mentioned about Scottish Brave. Scottish Brave is one of the 2 potential opponents that will be facing the winner of this series. Scottish Brave or Skelly, who have yet to start off their series. Hopefully coming up here real soon, they'll get that series underway.
Well, that's going to be a fun series. I think both of those runners, both of them are runners that I think have been deserving of their due for quite a while. So I'm glad to see them matched up in a big way there.
So just before we get to the next portion of this race, be sure to give these runners a follow here at the 91-minute mark. zelgadissan and jmeasher, 2 well-established Zelda, Link to the Past, Randomizer, runners, and fantastic people in the community. All right, that's crystal number 7. Will WC, we got some guessing to do.
Am I supposed to guess what we're guessing?
Sure. I mean, if you really want to, you can do that. But we usually like to play a little bit of a game as we make the journey back up the mountain.
Oh, right. There's a game. Yeah, so we're going to be going into Ganon's Tower. And in Ganon's Tower basement, there are 22 checks that have the possibility of containing our big key. So we are going to go in the order that Zelda opens or views those checks. And if you get the number right, you win some points. And
there's also that prediction going up right now to figure out whether or not you can win channel points. So, Will WC, what do you believe that the big key's location will be?
I'm thinking early. I'm gonna put a big ol' wager here on. Let's see. I think number 4 today.
Is that option number 4, or is that 4 checks?
4 checks. So the 3 to 5 option is what I'm predicting.
All right, I'm going to go with number 7 today, which will be the number 7 and not the option 7.
Gotcha.
But you still got a couple more seconds to get your predictions in as Zelga makes the way to Ganon's Tower.
jmeasher hopping here into Misery Mire. He's just going to hopefully get his big key out of Spike Chest and go straight to the back here.
Mm-hmm. The only question is will he get it first or second?
But yeah, for thinking about bosses we could see in here, we have not seen Armos Knights yet. We have not seen Mothula. I believe we have run into everyone else at this point.
Check number 1 is a heart container. Check number 2 is a small key, so we continue to check.
jmeasher did get that first check of the big key.
Oh yeah, that's good. That really feels good. And this race is not done and over with yet. We can't make this sound like this is Zelga cruising on to victory just yet. GT can do what GT does.
Yeah, there's still the possibility of an ice boss coming into play. Less possibility of that shovel coming into play, but through 6 checks, nothing else there in the compass room.
All right, check number 7. Ah, there we go.
Could have been number 1, but congratulations to you on your guess there, Rick.
More importantly, congratulations to the people who chose along with me with that option on the board. Alright, so now the next questions turn out to be what 2 bosses do we find on our climb upstairs. As you mentioned before, the Armos Knights we haven't seen. However, one of these spots, the Armos Knights can't be.
That's very true. There will be no Armos Knights on the Hera platform or the Moldorm platform at the top of... Let me try this again. On the Moldworm platform at the top of Ganon's tower. We're not in Tower of Hera anymore. We did that a long time ago.
Tower of Hera is what we thought was going to determine this race, and it very well could have. Really, I think what comes down to this race at this point is the fact that jmeasher had to return to Pod after losing all that magic.
Yeah, that was a very costly trip, both in the time, spent traveling to Pod and through the dungeon all the way, but also the additional trip having to go back over, buy potions, refill magic, do all of that. Mm-hmm. That added up to multiple minutes, and we're in a race where, minutes are going to make the difference on this one.
Mm-hmm. Alright, just a few rooms away. Find out what our boss is going to be here. Is it going to be one of our new bosses? Mothula could very well be at the top of the tower. And I hear Moldorm.
I do too. We've got our second one-eyed Moldorm of the day. So, an Ice Armos down in the basement as vanilla. And
which means Mothula is going to be on the top.
Yep, we'll have a Mothula upstairs.
And that's guaranteed. There's no ifs here. We know that's going to be Mothula at the top.
Yeah, and Zelga should have that. If he's been keeping track of things, he should have that information as well, because he knows that the Trinex was the only boss that he didn't kill in Swamp Palace.
And he knew that was there.
Yeah.
As jmeasher now goes into Ganon's tower. Now, if jmeasher checks that torch first, he'll get that big key in the first position. But now knowing what we do know about this and the fact that it's not going to be a stressful fight coming up here on the top, this now does look like Zelga's race to lose.
Yeah, for sure. There's... we've got an easy boss up here, and then the Agatu and Ganon fights are going to be the same as normal. So, obviously things can happen.
Nice pre-Moldorm key.
Things can happen, but Zelga and jmeasher both are very experienced runners. I'd be surprised to see any...
jmeasher gets the big key number 3, though.
Yeah, so he's gonna get there a little bit quicker with the hope left strat, as Zelga is going to make his way up to the final floor of the tower and face off against Ganon 2.
Wouldn't that be crazy if you could swap out Ganon 2 and put a different boss there at the top?
Oh boy. Oh boy. Imagine the first race that gets decided by someone getting all the way up here and not being able to kill their boss. No, we can't do that. We can't do that to the poor people, Rick.
I mean, we put roller rooms all across that pod entry. I know we're changing around Randomizer for version 32 when that eventually gets released, but we do that kind of crazy thing.
I know. You're right. It's just not nice.
Let me ask you this question, and I'm serious in asking this question. Is there anything really nice about Rando? I'm talking logic, that is.
Oh, no, nothing there.
I mean, the community's nice. The community's great, and as I mentioned before, these two are great people in the community, but logic, it can do stuff. The things it can do is not family friendly here for Speed Gaming 1, but here we go, Zelga doing the Ganon strat.
Getting a nice, looks like a
See your
1-on-1
nice
setup
spins, get
here.
ourselves into stage 2. Oh, beautiful setups, yeah.
Yeah, he's got it.
I love Matt's comment about that, though. The person who can hover to find Argus at the top.
Okay, maybe I'm in favor of this now. Don't at me.
All right.
Did you find the arrows in my tower? We sure didn't.
Yeah, but it almost had to be there by this point.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be a thing if that's in that Moldworm final chest there? The one chest up here that Zelga didn't check? Or the 2 checks?
That would be...
That'd be rude, but the game's been mean before.
It has been mean before. It will probably be mean again.
As Zelga continues to do the spins to win, needs 12 of these in order to finish off the Ganon fight.
And I think a little bit of nerves here for Zelga. He knows he has missed that fire rod for a very long time, and I'm sure he's feeling the nerves. You know, one eye on that race room as well. Like a lot of doubles where I expect to see triples from Zelga. Frankly.
Oh yeah. But he gets it there at the end.
12th spin.
And with that, Zelga is going to be moving on to the round of 16 to face off against either Scottish Brave or Skelly. Get your GGs in chat for zelgadissan, the winner of this round of 32 match against jmeasher.
Yeah, finishing officially at 141.54 in our race room, as jmeasher is making his way into the Aga 2 fight right now.
I think that Triforce tech summarizes the feeling about this scene.
That's probably going to be roughly the reaction of both runners in very different tones, I think.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have interviews with both of these runners coming up here real soon as jmeasher gets ready to finish off his seed, finishes off with the Aga 2. As a reminder, the Zelda 1 Randomizer finals continue tonight between Homer J. Smash and his competitor Side Town. Game 2 and Game 3 tonight, beginning at 9:15 p.m. here on Speed Gaming.
Oh, heck yes. That's going to be fun to watch. I still have no idea how people play Z1R, but I appreciate that they do because it's a lot of fun to watch.
Chaotically.
So if you haven't caught it before, definitely tune in. It's going to be some real high quality stuff tonight.
All right, so jmeasher facing off against the Ganon fight. And real fast, we will switch over to our schedule where we can tell you if you're looking for more Link to the Past randomizer content. Coming up at 9:10, Big Dunka will be facing off against GFE in Game 3 of that pairing. That's going to be over on SpeedGaming 3 with Esper and Radical Sniper 99 on the call for that match. And then we have a bunch of stuff coming up here tomorrow with channels to be determined.
jmeasher now on phase 3 of his Ganon fight.
As we'll pop Zelga in here, but we'll go ahead and get jmeasher to the finish line with him starting off with this stage 4 of the Ganon fight. Does finally attach the first spin, and now gets the second one. 12 of them he needs to do. jmeasher playing around with the Messenger MSU pack.
Oh, that has some real bops in it.
And that shovel led to blue goo, apparently.
Oh, well, that's
fun.
Not that we mostly needed it today, but...
Yeah, especially given that shovel's location over there on the right side of GT.
Yep. I think one more spin will do it here.
There it is.
So
Get your GGs in chat.
For jmeasher, going to finish second place in this race. Just a little over 3 minutes behind Zelga.
About just shy of 3.5 minutes difference between these two runners. And we, once again, will point out at a couple of things, but we do welcome in both of our competitors. First of all, the race winner, zelgadissan, and the runner-up, jmeasher. GG's to both of you.
Yo, GG's.
Yeah, GG's, Zelga.
The adventures of that fire rod. I definitely want to know how much screaming internally you did, Zelga, once you found that there.
Honestly, I was excited. I was ecstatic to see that fire rod because I was like, I screwed up so bad because first off, did you guys know that we're not playing Zelda 1? We don't do 8 dungeons because I totally marked Pod as a crystal.
That explains why you went there versus Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah. That was a surprise because we thought at that point you should have had the information that Pod and Swamp were the last 2 pendants.
What is this, Zelga? Too much ambrosia?
Yeah, I guess something like that. But so when I found that fire rod, I was like, okay, well, at least I didn't touch the smith chain. We got a few checks left in the game that we could make up, and there's a decent chance that maybe jmeasher would have done those. So I was like, I gotta hope that counts, like that counters it out. So I felt like that was probably the best place I could find the fire rod. Until now that I've discovered from the race room that jmeasher probably had it at least an hour before I did.
Yeah, and for a while it turned out to be the plot point of this seed. When would you get back into the Tower of Hera to get that fire rod? Because jmeasher went up there without the hammer, so he had no ability to get to the Tower of Hera.
Yeah, my early game routing, I feel like, was a little off the wall. And it was almost entirely due to getting those bomb drops at Uncle, getting the hook shot, and then getting all that stuff I did in the castle. So I didn't hit Kakariko until very late. I actually went up the mountain before even going to Kak. So definitely made my routing, I'm sure, very, very different from what Zelga ended up doing, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a difference, but we think that this race came down to that unfortunate happening in Pod with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess we were competing to see who could screw up Pod the most. So I was coming down to the mirror, and I had what? I had the pyramid, I had catfish, and I think I had Agony at that point left, aside from Pod. And without the information about what Pod was, I decided to take a little bit of a risk. And it was a risk. I mean, I only had the boss left. There's a 33% chance it was a crystal, so good chance it was a pendant. But then you're just factoring in, my progression could be there, so I might as well take a little bit of a risk here and hope it pays off for me. And then, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just blindly going through the dungeon like I normally would. Cane dash through the last hallway, and then am standing in front of Cold Stare. And I just barely didn't have enough magic, even with sword beams.
Right. Yeah, that was the thing, was you recognized it and then you almost saved it, but just I don't know if the spikes maybe kind of canceled out some of the sword beams or something like that, but just I think you were probably one short.
It felt like something like that. And then I just kind of doubled down on it at that point. Even as I was thinking, because I knew I was like, I have Fire Rod. There's a decent chance that this is something Zelga's missed, but it's also likely that he's going to get bottlenecked into it. So like, if the progression is here behind this Fire Rod, this required Fire Rod to beat this boss, then I'm throwing away my advantage a little bit. But even still, I was in the moment, just like, I need to double down. Like, this is, I need this to be progression. Just didn't turn out that way, unfortunately.
Right. I mean, yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from with that. When you get down to just a handful of locations for progression and you commit to one and you kind of just feel committed to it.
Yeah, and knowledge would have been game saving if I don't know where the pod map was. But
I don't know if we ever I don't know if we ever even saw it from either of you. I think it may have just been kind of deduction that got you to pod information for.
It was in Super Bunny, but I found that after beating Helmet Sword beating Cold Stare.
Yeah, I never went to Super Bunny. So yeah, having that knowledge would have saved me, because if I had known it was a pendant, I absolutely would have gone to Pyramid first. But them's the breaks. It's rando. Well, what can you do?
Yeah, I mean that's what it kind of felt like with the Hera play, because you kind of avoided doing Fireless Hera by virtue of not having the hammer yet when you went up there, and it looked like that was going to be kind of that the random early thing that broke big in your favor. And then, but Zelga was able to get kind of back up there in time due to that mirror location, and just, it was a very close and interesting race to watch for sure. But
it felt good. But like I said, I knew that, I was constantly worried. If I find an item in the back of Skull Woods, then that Fire Rod's required to, there's a bottleneck there, and he'll get to it even if he missed it early. So, yeah.
Yeah, it turns out to be the only two things that Fire Rod blocked was the ether plus the flute, both in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, so I mean, this was an adventure. Like, I'd like to see, because it seems like we just played two completely different seeds in terms of how the items ended up coming into our laps. But I mean, this was very stressful in the end. Like, I think you guys even called out how bad my Ganon was, very deservedly. I thought I was toast as soon as that blue crystal dropped from Helmet or Cold Stare and Pod. So,
you mean the pendant?
Well, it was a crystal until I saw it wasn't. So,
oh, right. I see where you're going with that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like I still can't decide if Bombos being available helped me or hurt me in terms of getting back there faster. But at the end of the day, I'm really happy to move on. jmeasher is a great opponent, and this one easily could have gone either way, as I'm sure you guys saw during the race. So I just want to stress again, big GGs to jmeasher, a great opponent, and I wouldn't have been surprised to lose this.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say the same. against someone like Zelga, who a lot of people deservedly think is going to go far in this tournament, myself included. After losing, obviously, but Zelga's fantastic, and against Zelga and a whole bunch of the people that are left, like, you can't make the kind of mistakes I made. That's just the way it is. You have very little margin for error. So, wish you luck, man. I think you've got a really great chance to take it all the way this year. I'll be rooting for you, man.
It's really kind words. Thank you very much, and I'll try my best.
And I'll ask this question: how many more of these series from Zelga are we going to see him drop game one to reverse sweep it to a 2-1 decision?
I mean, if that's my MO, I'll take it. Like, it's worked so far, I guess. So, I mean, if that's what I got to do for the rest of the tournament, I'm open to it.
I do want to ask one question. What was your decision making in regards to holding that portal at the Spiral Cave after leaving Turtle Rock before going into Hera?
I was thinking, like, hey, if I find the fire rod, I can just jump back into Turtle Rock without realizing the fact that I was going to have to go to the front. And I realized it, like, as I was on my way over, like, oh, I have to do the front for keys anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I thought you were about ready to make the crazy cross keys type of play right there. Go in, jump in through the eye doors, and go back there, and then mirror back. But you turned out to go back in the normal way and did things kind of the way we expected you to for a little while, just except for that pod play. So coming up next year for Zelga, you get either Scottish Brave or Skelly. How well do you know these two opponents, and what are you hoping for?
I know they're both great runners. I've played Skelly more than I have Scottish Brave, but I have raced them both, and it's been fun races every time. I think it's only actually raced 1v1 with Scottish Brave once, but I look forward to it. Whoever comes out of that should be a great series and a great challenge.
And we'll see what winds up happening as we make ourselves closer to the round of 16, which begin, well, as soon as the pairings get to be available, but officially next week is when the round of 16 is. Any closing thoughts as you make your exit out of the tournament, jmeasher?
I'll just say, thank you guys for putting on the restream. Thank you to all the admins for putting this tournament together. I know it's a monumental amount of work, and always appreciative of that. For myself, I've one of these days I'll get past round of 32. I feel like I've been close a few times, but not stopping anytime soon. I love this dumb game too much. So
yeah, you mentioned how we talked about the logic earlier.
Yeah. So, but no, just thank you guys again. Once again, congrats, Zelga, and good luck moving forward, man.
Thank you very much, and thank you guys for doing the commentary, the tracking, the restream. Really appreciate it. I know, like, Rick, you and Will are both good friends, so I'm sure there were some fun things to catch up on if I watch this back.
Yeah, so screaming at you when you didn't do what we kept saying you were going to do.
You fooled us quite a bit.
See, that's the trick, is you just always got to keep them guessing.
We'll see what winds up happening in the round of 16. How about one final GG for both of these runners?
Indeed, and also a GG and a very big thank you to our tracker tonight, Tofile. Did an excellent job keeping us on our toes, and when we were off, well, mostly when I was goofing off, keeping us on track. So, a lot of fun tonight. Rick, thank you very much for allowing me to join you tonight.
Absolutely.
And I will let you take us home.
All right, be sure to give our runners a big follow, zelgadissan and jmeasher, and also once again, big thank you to Tofile and the rest of the crew here at SpeedGaming. Don't forget the Zelda 1 Randomizer finals coming up here on this very channel at 9:15 p.m. If you are looking for more Link to the Past Randomizer content, we have that coming up at 9:10 over on Speed Gaming 3 with that great match right there on Speed Gaming 3 between Big Dunka and GFE. That's another winner takes it all, Game 3. So with that, I'm Adirondack Rick saying thank you for joining us here on Speed Gaming for the Link to the Past Randomizer Tournament. Have a good night!